Why is a tiny cluster of islands in the middle of the Indian Ocean causing a storm between the US, UK, and Mauritius? And why did Donald Trump personally step into the dispute? These islands aren't just sand and palm trees. They are home to military secrets, international lawsuits, and a battle for global influence. Stick with us, because what happens on these islands could ripple across the entire Indo-Pacific region. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive in, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to keep up with our in-depth global reports. Today, we're breaking down a story that has captured the attention of world leaders, diplomats, and military strategists alike: the fate of the Chagos Islands. What seems like a minor territorial dispute is actually a high-stakes clash of international law, military strategy, and global diplomacy. The Chagos Islands are a remote archipelago in the middle of the Indian Ocean, roughly halfway between Africa and Indonesia. Legally, they are considered British territory, but Mauritius has long claimed sovereignty, arguing that the UK's control is a colonial relic. Why should the world care? On the largest island, Diego Garcia, sits a critical U.S. military base, a hub for surveillance, long-range operations, and global military reach. In short, these islands are tiny in size, but massive in strategic importance. After the Napoleonic Wars, Britain seized numerous French territories in the Indian Ocean, including the Chagos Islands. When Mauritius gained independence in the 1960s, the UK carved out the Chagos Islands as a separate territory, forming the British Indian Ocean Territory. Mauritius received financial compensation, but Britain kept control over the islands and, crucially, over Diego Garcia. The US soon became involved, establishing a major military base during the late 1960s and early 1970s. But this came at a cost. Thousands of Chagossians were forcibly removed from their homes. Many resettled in Mauritius or the UK. Their displacement remains a humanitarian and political issue to this day. In 2019, the International Court of Justice issued a non-binding advisory ruling declaring the UK's occupation of the islands illegal. The UN General Assembly supported this decision, effectively ordering Britain to return sovereignty to Mauritius. Following this, the UK negotiated a deal to hand the islands back, but, with a twist, Diego Garcia would remain under a 99-year lease for U.S. military operations. Its balance aimed to satisfy legal obligations, strategic interests, and international diplomacy, but not everyone agreed. In January, Donald Trump publicly criticized the plan, calling giving up the islands a stupid idea. Why would a former U.S. president focus on tiny islands in the Indian Ocean? It's all about Diego Garcia, okay? This base isn't just a remote military outpost. It's like a stationary aircraft carrier with a long runway, deep water port, and advanced surveillance capabilities. From this base, the U.S. can deploy bombers across the Middle East, supply naval operations, and maintain a strategic foothold in the Indo-Pacific region. Runway for long-range bombers, essential for deploying forces across Asia and the Middle East. Deep water port allows refueling and resupply for naval ships. Surveillance hub, equipped with satellites and intelligence infrastructure. Military staging area, key for operations in Afghanistan, Iraq, and potential conflicts in the region. Diego Garcia is a rare strategic jewel. Losing influence over it could shift the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. The UK wanted to resolve its colonial legacy while maintaining strategic relations with the US. Mauritius, meanwhile, argued the original 1960s agreement was unfair. Without a deal, they could turn to China, potentially allowing Chinese influence within a few hundred miles of a US base. This makes the islands a focal point for global geopolitics, where legal, military, and economic interests collide. The people who were forcibly removed from Diego Garcia have mixed opinions. Some want the islands to stay British, others seek a return to Mauritius. Their stories highlight the human cost of colonial era decision, reminder that behind every geopolitical dispute, Pailania, their real lives affected. 1960s UK keeps Chagos Islands after Mauritius gains independence. Late 1960s, 1970s, US builds Diego Garcia military base. Chagossians forcibly removed. 2019 International Court of Justice rules. UK's occupation, illegal UN, backs Mauritius. 2024, UK negotiates sovereignty transfer to Mauritius, retaining US liaison Diego Garcia. Jan 2025. Donald Trump publicly criticizes the deal, raises national security concerns. The story shows how history, law, and modern geopolitics intersect in one tiny island chain. Initially, Trump appeared relaxed, even supportive of the deal. But in early 2025, he repeatedly posted on social media criticizing the plan, citing national security risks and the strategic importance of Diego Garcia. He even linked the islands to potential military actions against Iran, signaling that this small archipelago could become a flashpoint for international tension. Some analysts suggest that Diego Garcia may store nuclear-capable assets, though details are classified. The base serves as a staging ground for operations across the Middle East and Asia, making it indispensable to U.S. defense planning. The dispute is about more than islands. It's a moral, legal, and strategic balancing act. For the UK, avoid being seen as illegal occupiers and maintain credibility in Africa and the global south. For Mauritius, gain sovereignty while leveraging strategic assets for economic and diplomatic benefit. For the U.S., preserve a key military foothold in the Indo-Pacific while managing international law and alliances. For Trump and U.S. politics, assert American influence and project military strength globally. Now, here's the shocking part. What happens with these tiny islands could influence U.S.-Iran relations. China's presence in the Indian Ocean, and even the balance of power across Asia. So if you thought this was a small story about remote islands, think again. Make sure you stay tuned until the end, because the final outcome could surprise everyone. What do you think? Should Mauritius regain full control, or should the islands remain under British influence? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'll feature the best ones in our next video. Chagos Islands, tiny land, huge geopolitical importance. Diego Garcia, a military linchpin for U.S. global strategy. Dispute involves history, law, strategy, and human rights. Trump's interest highlights how even small territories can become global flashpoints. The Chagos Islands dispute is a reminder that geography, history, and politics are deeply intertwined. And that even remote islands can shape the course of global diplomacy. If you found this deep dive insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more reports on global stories that shape our world. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. We'll keep breaking down the biggest geopolitical stories so you never miss what's happening behind the headlines.